The Lion King, what a great fucking movie. Alright, so we got a whole bunch of movies. Some of these movies were sent to me by studios to talk about and review. A lot of these movies I actually bought at Best Buy a few weeks ago. But without further ado, let me just dive into it. Alright, so the first movie up is Batman Bad Blood, the latest Batman animated movie. And for me, this movie had a lot of interesting things. I thought at some points in the movie it really went for it. It had a rated R vibe. For example, Batwoman in this movie is a lesbian. There's a lot of sexual innuendos going on. The funniest one is when you have Nightwing and he's fighting some big monster out in the streets, and then he's talking to his girlfriend on his phone, and he's like, "I've almost forgot what it's like to be inside of you." And I'm just like... Now let's get back to Batman. I thought the animation style overall was really good in this movie. Is this my favorite interpretation of Batman? Not really. I don't really like the way he looks in this animated movie. I wish they actually looked like they do on the cover right there. Like, to me, it's like, make the movie look like that. Why is it in animated movies, they have 20 villains, 20 sidekicks, 20 other heroes, and no one ever says, "Oh, that movie was way too bloated"? Is it because it's animated? Because if this was a live action movie and they did those things, and they had 20 other villains and 20 sidekicks, people would call that a bloated pile of shit. Now, in the movie Batman Bad Blood, there is an evil henchman, muscle-bound villain. His name is the Heretic, and he's pretty much like a cheap man's version of Bane. He's a big muscle-bound guy who wears a mask. He's somewhat intellectual and intelligent. He's well-spoken, and he overpowers Batman. Except he's just not very interesting, and it just felt like a cheap version of Bane. So as far as this newest Batman animated movie goes, I would say I overall enjoyed 50% of it. The other 50%, it wasn't very intriguing. And by the end of the movie, I was like, I don't care anymore. Okay, the next one up is Black Mass, starring Johnny Depp, who plays the real-life Whitey Bulger, who was a criminal back in the 1970s. And this movie is inspired by true events. And I would say Black Mass is one of those movies, well, I didn't watch it in the theater, and I don't mind the fact that I didn't watch it in the theater after watching it on Blu-ray. Now, is Black Mass a terrible movie? No, it has some really good performances in it, and overall, I'm really fascinated with true-life crime dramas. I like things. I like criminals. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to be one in life, but I was too scared to do the crime, and I didn't want to do the time. Do you think a guy like me would survive in prison? No, he would not. And the other thing that this movie has going for it is a crime drama set in Boston. And just something about crime dramas set in Boston, I just love the accents. Hey, what are you doing over there? You want to come over here and look at this? You know Jack Ruby? It's just like shit like that. I like to hear that. It relaxes me. And on one more positive note, I will say this is one of the better Johnny Depp performances he's given in years. At least he didn't look like a fucking clown, so that was always good to see Johnny Depp actually playing a human being once again. But halfway through the movie, it just gets so dwindling and tiresome where it almost could have been summed up in maybe like an hour and a half, but the movie just keeps going. And I would say this is an interesting story if you just watch the documentary and the true life events that actually happened. But as a movie, by the halfway point, the pacing kind of gets a little bit muddy and a little bit choppy. It lost me a little bit, and I kind of got bored watching it. All right, the next one up is Our Brand is Crisis, and I'll be honest with you, this is the only movie in this pile I have not watched yet, so I can't really give you my true thoughts about it. The only thing I want to tell you is I like Sandra Bullock. She's like a fine wine. She just looks better with age, in my personal opinion. I'm a big fan of Billy Bob Thornton. Am I expecting a phenomenal movie out of this? Not really. I just kind of want to watch it one rainy night when I don't want to think or expect too much. So that's why I have this. But like I said, I do like both lead actors in the movie. I think the overall plot does sound intriguing. It's about a woman who basically helps with campaigns. She helps people become presidents or leaders through marketing and doing all the right things. So I like that. That's fascinating to me. But yeah, if you guys have watched Our Brand is Crisis, what do you guys think about the movie? Let me know down below. All right, the next one up is Bridge of Spies, starring Tom Hanks as a lawyer during the Cold War era. And if you guys have seen my top 10 best movies of the year video, well, you know this has a place in my list. Why? Because it's a good movie. Now, Bridge of Spies is directed by Steven Spielberg, so you know you're getting a quality cinematic experience, and plus you have Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks to me is just like listening to smooth jazz music as I lay in bed eating strawberries. Tom Hanks just relaxes me. He's like the most likable guy on the planet. And this movie is based on true life events, and for me that's just fascinating. I like things that actually happened in history. So yeah, it's a really good quality made movie, and I recommend watching this. Okay, if you guys don't know this already, I love Disney animated movies and classic Disney movies. Why? Because they just make me feel like a kid again, and I've said this once, and I'm going to say it one more time. One day when I hit my midlife crisis, I'm going to lock myself in a room and watch every single one of my Disney movies to find my happy place once again. So that's why I buy Disney movies. And that's my entire Disney movie section right over there. So yeah, I'm happy to add the newest one to it. It's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs on Blu-ray. Now this was actually the first animated movie by Disney. And when you watch the Blu-ray, it looks like the best version you're ever going to see. It's in 1080p, the colors look bright and vivid. And also on a quick side note, since the latest trend over at Disney is remaking all of their animated movies into live action movies, I would expect this is probably like the next one. Now, I know they have the Snow White and the Huntsman movies and all that shit, but I would like to see a true adaptation, live-action version of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. I think that'd be a really cool movie. I think you could do a lot of cool, funny things with it. My only hope is Peter Dinklage is in that movie. Please, make Peter Dinklage grumpy. I need that. Or you know what? I have a better idea. Have Peter Dinklage play all seven dwarves in this movie. Yeah, the live-action movie. All right, the next one up is AntMan. Probably one of my favorite Marvel movies in recent years. Why? Because it felt like a smaller scale story. It was entertaining. Paul Rudd did a phenomenal job in this movie. And it was just fun. Like, the entire fate of the planet wasn't at stake. It was a smaller scale story. Sometimes those are just refreshing. Sometimes you don't want your eyeballs to bleed out of your head with everything blowing up. It's like the planet doesn't have to be at stake every single time for you to care about what's happening in a movie. And also, I like the visuals of the movie. I like the style of the movie. I liked when you see little Ant-Man running around and you can see like him running through pipes and you see like the corrosion of the pipes and like crud on the walls. I just like seeing things like that. I like seeing crud on walls and the inside of pipes. But this movie made that kind of shit fascinating to look at, so you gotta appreciate things like that. And also, I like during the fight scenes, they interjected a lot of comedy, especially when you have like the train sequence, and it shows like this big epic train exploding and falling over, and then it cuts to a wide angle shot of it from like our point of view, and it's just like this little model train falling over. And when it comes to this movie, my only real complaint is the villain of the movie. I didn't think he was all that intriguing or interesting. It's kind of a running theme with most Marvel villains. And also the actor that they had play him. He just didn't feel like he had that much charisma. He kind of just felt like a knockoff, shitty version of Lex Luthor at some points in the movie. It just felt like they got some random TV actor who shouldn't be in movies to be in this movie. All right, the next one up is The Good Dinosaur from Pixar. And hey, I just told you guys, I love Disney animated movies and I love Pixar movies. Some of my favorite movies of all time include Toy Story, The Incredibles, but as far as The Good Dinosaur goes, well, that will not be included in my favorite Pixar movies of all time. Why? It felt a little bit hollow to me. Now, this movie is about dinosaurs. My name is John, and I like dinosaurs. And that right there is intriguing enough to be in an animated Pixar film. But the way the story's told in this movie and the way that things play out and just the overall tone and style of the movie, it didn't quite feel like a Pixar movie. It felt like another movie that would have been released by like another studio and just kind of flopped out and everyone forgets about it 2 weeks later. Now keep in mind, I didn't watch this movie in theaters. The first time I watched it was on Blu-ray. And when I was watching it, I was really, really trying to like it. I was trying to get into it. But halfway through the movie, I came to the conclusion that something's just not quite right with this movie. And keep in mind, Pixar actually just put out Inside Out last year. That was a phenomenal movie. I really enjoyed it. I connected with it. It made me feel things. It gave me the feels. This movie it didn't do any of those things. I would say one of the most intriguing aspects about this Blu-ray release are some of the bonus features. It actually talks about the real anatomy of dinosaurs and goes into detail about that. And like I said, I like dinosaurs, so that was somewhat intriguing. About the real anatomy of dinosaurs and goes into detail about that. And like I said, I like dinosaurs, so that was somewhat intriguing. I hate that guy. Hey there guys, how are you? So this is going to be kind of a weird conclusion to this Blu-ray collection update video. Here's what actually happened. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I have to leave town at 6 o'clock in the morning to drive 9 hours. So I'm going to wrap up the video right here in regards to the new Blu-ray movies. But rest assured, there will be a part 2 coming very soon where I talk about these Blu-ray movies right here, such as Creed. So yeah, I figured why not dedicate an entire second part to all these movies? Plus I have to savor my Stallone impressions. So yeah, definitely look out for part 2 of the Blu-ray collection video. And now here's my question to you guys, and let me know down below. By the way, yes, I'm wearing a banana hat. I was going to make a joke about that, but I was so tired when I pushed record on this camera, I forgot I was even wearing it until I looked into the monitor right there. I need to go to sleep. So anyway, guys, yeah, leave your thoughts, your opinions down below on some of the movies I talked about in this video, and I look forward to reading them. Good night.
or goodbye.